Hi, it's Rabbi Jeremy, and this is our candle lighting video for the third night of Hanukkah in 2025. And in the last couple of days, we've talked a little bit about how we light the menorah, which direction the candles go, and which direction you light. And we've talked a bit about changes in how women are treated as a result of some of the stories that feed into the broader rabbinic idea of what Hanukkah is about and about its history. Today, I wanted to talk about something that seems a little bit more straightforward, or maybe not, which is how we even got to the point of having menorahs to start with. So, if you go back to the Talmud, which is really the first time that we get much information about how you're supposed to celebrate Hanukkah, right? The candle lighting and all of that. What we really get out of it, because I should mention, Hanukkah is not in the Torah. And from a traditional Jewish perspective, Hanukkah is not anywhere in the Bible. Modern biblical scholars actually think that the history of Hanukkah is what's actually going on behind the scenes in part of the book of Daniel. So the book of Daniel may, at least in parts, be much newer than almost anything else that's in the Tanakh, that's in the Jewish Bible. But Hanukkah is not in the Bible. It's not there in a way that you would really readily be able to see. And so anything that we do for Hanukkah is really essentially made up. I mean, everything's made up, but this is essentially stuff that people started to do and that the rabbis eventually said, yeah, we're going to keep doing those. And so we have that situation with Hanukkah. And originally, or when you look at the basic text about Hanukkah and what you do with the menorah, what you find is that the commandment the rabbis imagined one was supposed to fulfill about lighting candles is actually just one light for the whole household. So, not even one menorah for the whole household, like one Hanukkah with all the slots, but one light, just one. And so you could just light one candle. Over time, people started to light one candle per person in the home, right? And these are the rabbis talk about these in the Talmud as the people who mehadrin. They are people who like to make it prettier, right? Like to make the commandment a little more than just do this. And so those who are mehadrin, people who do a little bit more, would light one candle per person in the household. And the mehadrin, mehadrin, which is these are the people who really want to make the commandment done well, done in a lovely manner. Mehadrin comes from a Hebrew root that means to beautify. And so these are people who want to really do it. They are the people who are the the people who beautify beyond those who beautify. That's the Mehadrin, Mehadrin. Those are the people who would light one new light per night. Right. So on night one, there'd be one light. On night two, there'd be two. On night three, there'd be three, etc. Those are the people who started to light something that we would start to recognize as the Hanukkah, the Hanukkah menorah. And probably what it looked like in the ancient period was not candles, but a pool or a bowl or some kind of receptacle that would hold oil in it, usually olive oil, but oil. There are some oils that the rabbi said you shouldn't use, but olive oil was pretty standard, at least in the ancient Near East. And there would be something to hold the wicks in place so they didn't fall into the oil. And as long as you could identify each of the separate wicks burning, they could share that same pool of oil. And that's probably what a lot of the earliest Chanukiot really were, was probably just a receptacle of oil and then things holding the wicks in place. And so you would add wicks each night. In the modern period, we don't really use oil for much outside of cooking. in most of our homes. And so candles are a more convenient way of doing it, and candles are a fine way, right? Candles are fine. Um, Electricity in Jewish law is viewed a little bit differently, but you can use electric menorahs as well. But that whole, we're going to light three lights, we're going to light four lights, we're going to light five lights instead of just one per household or one per person per in each household. That that's the elevated level of practice. Over time, the elevated level of practice became the way that almost everyone does it. But if you don't have enough candles, it's okay to light one and say, this is what I can do. And in fact, you have this sort of tradition of lighting more, but you also have in Jewish legal codes instructions that part of the job of Hanukkah is to make sure that everybody can celebrate it. And so people who have extra are expected to actually give their extra to their less fortunate neighbors. And so if you have a whole bunch of Hanukkah candles lying around, but it's really enough to do the big menorah, you could give some to other people so that they can light the one candle. That's the idea is it's great to light a bigger menorah, but we also have to take care of our neighbors too. So candles are really good for that because for the most part, candles are pretty inexpensive and you can do that more easily. Um, but that's sort of the background that it's actually enough to light one light. That the point is not a competition, but over time, it became easier and easier to light multiple lights. Oil wasn't as important as a heat and energy source over time. And we've moved to this kind of candles thing, and you can go to Target a lot of the time and buy a menorah, or you could go to Walmart, or you could go to, when it was around, Bed Bath and Beyond. Lots of places you can buy a menorah. So we'll light our menorah for tonight, that third night of Hanukkah, and we'll use our humanistic blessing for it. And we light the newest candle first. Nivarech et haor ba'olam. Nivarech et haor ba'adam. Nivarech et haor shel Hanukkah. Let us bless the light in the world. Let us bless the light in humanity. Let us bless the light of Hanukkah. And those are our candles for the third night of Hanukkah in 2025. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on another occasion.